Hey everybody, so here's the update and where I'm at right now. A couple things that I've done. The biggest one was actually paneling in this door. So the door's all the way done. I basically scribed and went away all around the handles. It actually took quite a while. It looked longer, of course, than I expected it to. There's a lot of scribing that I had to do to get it down, but it worked out really well. It's all insulated. And when you shut the door now, it's actually quite a bit quieter. So it's really kind of the last big section of the van that wasn't insulated. So sound-wise, it's a lot different in here. I haven't taken the van out for a drive since I completed this yet, because all the cabinets and stuff that are still in here are not secured down yet. That's kind of actually going to be the next step, but I'll talk about that in a second. We also wanted just to place in some of the stuff for the Galley, just to kind of actually just feel it, or feel what it's going to feel like in the van. And so I just dropped the sink in. It's not secured in, it's not hooked up or anything like that. Got the faucet in. The faucet obviously will rotate, and it actually has an extender in it, which I'm pretty stoked about. The other thing I finished was this shelf up here, which is this kind of, I don't know what we're going to call this thing, the spice shelf, or I don't know, probably might be just coffee, coffee beans, that kind of stuff to go up here. This one actually took quite a while because it's 2 sets of scribes to actually get it to actually line up. And obviously we got the stove, which is also just placed in. It's got the cover, which I'll have to eventually actually secure down. It's not yet. We were just kind of, again, putting it in to see what it feels like. The other thing I did is I created this little shelf back here, so it actually fits in this recess underneath the lights. We'll be able to put utensils or whatever we want in there. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of all the stuff that I've been doing over the last handful of days. A bunch of other small stuff that I've completed too while things were happening. Insulated more sections of the van, like started filling out some of the pillars up here, or these cross beams. I still need to finish off this right here. We're debating on how we're going to do that. A couple ideas, so we'll wait to see how that works out. The other thing I did is I went around and just did some touch-up paint with the white on some of the walls and on the back of the van, on the edges of some of the beds and things like that. Because like I said, the next thing for me to really do at this point is actually probably secure all the cabinets down. I'm going to start over in the corner behind the driver's seat where the toilet, the composting toilet is. I'm going to secure that one down to the floor. And then the electrical cabinet. I want to have a small gap between the electrical cabinet and the toilet cabinet. And the main reason for that is that you need to be able to pull the lid off for the toilet, which will have the cushion on top. But we need to be able to pull that off without any interference. So I want to have about a 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch gap between those two at the base so that the lid comes in and out easily. So I'll have to square those two up and put some shims in, and then I'll screw those together. Once that's in, then I can screw in the bottom bunk to its location. And then that will allow me to screw in basically the support for the upper bunk. Once the support is screwed in, then I can screw in the upper bunk. And then once I do that, then I can secure in the whole Galley unit to the upper bunk, this middle wall, and also to the floor. So it kind of just works its way around. So it's going to take a little while to do that and just make sure that everything is lined up and square. But at this point, things are going pretty well. So once all that stuff is secured in, then the next step for me is probably a big one, which is I'll obviously be taking out the sink and the faucet and the stove. I'm getting that out of the way. But the big thing is going to be doing the propane heater. I did some measurements for that. I'm still waiting on some parts. So that's why that keeps getting delayed. I'm still waiting on some parts to get delivered. But the propane stove, when that goes in, the propane heater, when that goes in, I got to drill 2 holes, so into the van floor. But I took some measurements this morning, and where I calculated like literally months ago that it would land, there is space underneath the van, and it's all actually lining up, which feels pretty good. I was a little nervous about how that all would line up in terms of where the stove would land. So a lot of preparation months ago has paid off. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to get that thing installed, but I got to build the propane locker and get the propane lines run first, because once the lines are in, that will give me the space that I can move the propane heater like from side to side. I want to get it as close to the wheel well as I can, but I still want to be able to work on it. So again, trying to conserve those inches in different places. So the next thing is getting that propane locker built and getting that propane stove or the propane heater installed. If I don't have the parts on that, I'm going to start on the water. I have a bunch of that right now, so I think I can actually start to hook up and start building the water, installing the water pump and wiring that up and actually getting that going with our water, our clear water and our gray water tanks. So it's possible the water gets done before the stove, but we'll see. So as of right now, that's where we're at. Things are going pretty well. Fall is on its way and it's getting a little chillier, so I'm trying to get all the painting done and finish up all that stuff so that even if it gets cold, I can still finish off the van. At least enough to be able to try and maybe use it once before winter hits. But there you go. That's where we're at. Thanks a lot for checking it out, and I will talk to you guys soon.